Namaskar friends, once again welcome back in my YouTube channel. Today I remember that we are meeting after a long time and this difference of the time gap between our communication and our contact, it's due to the lots of problem and due to lackness of the time that's forced me to not take any further more lectures. Let's really apologize for this issue. So without wasting our time, let's get started the video and further move with our topics and with our issue which we are going to discuss today in this video. So our today's topic is concerned with the strategic petroleum reserves, and so in this video we'll try to understand what is this strategic petroleum reserve and why it is important and why it is in the news, and what is other data that how much petroleum should be reserved in the country to serve its purpose and to fulfill its requirements. So in this same video we will try to put up these questions and try to sort out and give you all the answers of these questions in the same video. So let's get into the video. First we will try to understand what is the strategic petroleum reserve. So this point I will try to make you understand through analogy that, for example, in our homes we store the grains such as rice, such as wheat and various other grains to fulfill our requirements in the future, to fulfill our requirements during any disaster, during calamities, or during any crisis like droughts and famine. In the same way, you know that petroleum is very important, substance. It is which is used in our vehicles, along with that as a fuel. Lots of lubricants and Vaseline, other related materials and goods are created this petroleum through this petroleum. So it is very important. You should know that this time India, it is third largest consumer of the petroleum in the world, and it fulfilled its almost 85% of the needs of the petroleum from the importing from these various other countries like Russia and Iran and Gulf countries. So as I've told you, so in the same way as we store the grains in our houses to fulfill our requirements, in the same way government also put these this petroleum as a reserve so that it can use in the future whenever there is any calamity or whenever there is a crisis or whenever there is some extraordinary circumstances that exist in our country. So this is the information about strategic petroleum reserve. Now we are going to discuss is why it is in the news. Because recently a government owned firms of engineers, that is it is a consultancy firms, which means it is a company such as group of engineers which is working to find out storage facility, that is salt caverns. So in this video we will try to understand what is salt caverns and what is the other facilities through which we store these petroleums in our country. So for the storage of the petroleum, we use two types of storage facilities. Both are concerned with underground facilities. Both these two processes we use to reserve this petroleum in the underground, in the below the ground. So these two are, the first is rock cavern storage, the second is salt cavern storage. So one by one we will try to understand both these storage facilities and its relations with each other. So let's first start with the rock cavern storage facility. What is this? It is very simple, and in general it is also found all over the world, and lots of countries have this facility. Even India also have. What happens in this facility, that rock cavern, in this what we do, we just excavate the ground and the rocks and makes a tank like structure so that we can make this petroleum reserve there. We can put and preserve there for future requirements during any circumstances and calamities or oil crisis. So just we simply excavate the ground in the rocks and makes a tank to put the petroleum inside them and keep them preserved for future requirements. So at the present time, there are three this type of, that is rock cavern storage facility in India. That is one is in our two is in Karnataka, and one in your in Andhra Pradesh, Tirunelveli. So now India is looking for the second facility. India is looking for making a salt cavern storage facility because it is more efficient. Along with that, it is more important, and it is less, it is also cheaper. In that case, India is looking for this. So that particular firm of the engineers is looking for the feasibility of this salt cavern storage facility and wants to develop such type of facility in Rajasthan, and that is also discovering and looking for those aspects of the salt cavern. In India, there is no any storage facility exists till now, that is rock cavern storage. So if India will be successful in developing its the very first salt cavern facility, then it will be very beneficial for the country. So let's start to understand what is this salt cavern uh, storage facility. So in rock cavern, we understood this just excavate the rocks and fulfill those storage with the petroleum. And in the salt cavern, what we did, below the ground there are lots of trenches and lots of what you can say digs exist there. So what happens in some places, there are lots of rocks of salts, lots of salt boulders exist in them. So what we'll do, we will fill the water in those geographical formations inside the earth, and after the fulfilling of the water, the salt that is existing in those geological formations will be dissolved in the water, and after that we will pull out those water from those geographical formation, and that will make a proper, after that it will become a proper storage facility, and like a tank. So that particular structure we can use for storage of the petroleum. This is called dilution, mining dilution. So this is your salt cavern process, salt cavern storage facility, and I told you how it has been developed. Now let's further proceed with a few other aspects, and what is the capacity of the India in the respect of the storage of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So you should know that at this time India has 39 million barrel petroleum reserve, and if we compare the India with other countries in the world, so in the America this capacity is much more higher, and that is 105 million barrels, which is too much from the India. So India is looking for increase its capacity in future, so that it can enhance its resilience and can fulfill its future demands, so that it can fulfill all the requirements in the future during any calamity. So these existing the rock cavern storage facility which exists in India, that was initiated, that was formed in 1970s during the oil crisis of the world. So this time India is fostering and progressing in this direction. I hope that it will do this in the future and try to get, and it will also hit the ground and hit the road in this direction. And one important thing which I would like to tell you, that there is an International Energy Agency, that IEA, which according to which, and India is also a participatory of this group and is member of this group. So according to this group, there must be such amount of storage of the petroleum in a country that it can fulfill the 90 days requirement of any country without any import. But if you see this data on this basis, if we compare India, we will find that India has this time just 9.5 days requirement storage facility, storage of the petroleum. But if you look overall storage, then we will see that we can see that the other companies of oil companies which exist in India, they have their own storage of the petroleum. So if we overall look at the uh, uh, requirements of the country, so with the overall storage we can fulfill 75 days requirements of the country of the petroleum without any export import of the petroleum. So it is really important issue, and it is also strategically important, because when we have lots of petroleum reserve during the any calamity, along with that during any war, there is lots of submarines which function on the basis of this petroleum. Even fighter planes and jet planes, they also work on this. So they will be strategically, economically, and politically, socially, all the basis is very important, and fulfill our purpose in the future. So with these points, I would like to wind the program here. We will keep a close look on the issues and make you aware of the facts. Very good. Thank you to all. Please like and subscribe the video.